Welcome to the CEO's blog for this week, and once again we're still in this horrid pandemic that is COVID-19. As we are all seeing, we've moved back into regionalisation. It's somewhere we didn't want to be, but unfortunately that's where we're forced to be. The government is now suggesting to people not to travel around New South Wales, and we can see obviously why, with the outbreaks that are now in Nelson Bay and down at Bateman's Bay. And if you follow it, you can see the knife edge that we're actually sitting on with the spread of this disease. Harness Racing New South Wales, our management group, are currently looking at whether we introduce masks for race meetings, and in particular when we're in close contact and social distancing cannot be achieved, like when horses are swabbed or when drivers are in the steward's room. These things we have to be proactive with, and I'm sure all of you will continue to support Harness Racing New South Wales and its endeavours to keep the entire industry racing across New South Wales. We continue to perform very, very well, and we'd like to keep that record intact. So until next week, just keep an eye out for the alerts that we put out. We try not to put out too many, but when one does come out about COVID-19, it has an important factor to it. It may affect you, so I suggest you take it up and have a look at it. Until then, all the best, stay well. Remember, practice social distancing. Hygiene is very important, and look out for each other, and whatever you do, please follow the protocols that we have in place. As you would understand, Harness Racing New South Wales is a fully consultative organisation. Right at this time and until July 31, your opportunity is there to make a submission towards the Strategic Plan 2021 to 2023. After that, there is a process that we go through, but check our website, you'll see the link there, and put in a submission. Every thought will be considered. Just remember, the submissions close on July 31, so put pen to paper or tap out on the keyboard, send it into the link that is on the screen now, and you certainly will be heard. As we battle through the challenges of COVID-19, of course, coming up will be the Breeders' Challenge and Trot New South Wales, the postponed series. It starts in September. Next week, we will release the new conditions, amended conditions, the necessary conditions for how we will take this forward, the postponed series. So keep an eye out for it. The board will sign off it at the board meeting next Thursday, and then we'll put it out to all industry participants, in particular those people who have eligible horses. There are ramifications here with the closure of the border into Victoria, but we'll have a plan there for horses to come across. It'll be the choice of the owners of where they go. It's a very congested period from September through till December, as we have a lot of postponed series in New South Wales, in Victoria, and even in Queensland. So keep an eye out for that next week, but the board will sign off on it next Thursday. Highlights of this week, and there were plenty of them as usual, were the fact that we had several meetings where there were 8 different trainers, generally 8 different drivers, win the races. At both of the Bathurst meetings this last week, at Tamworth, Wagga, Parkes, Menangle Tuesday and Leeton, this occurred. And as we go back to Penrith last week, it was great to see Alex Alchin land a double with Feels Like a Winner and Star Writer. At Wagga on Friday, Rusty Crackers for Brooke and James McPherson is really on target for the Pace of the Year title, scoring his 7th win at the track this season. Whilst 10-year-old Smoke and Tally for Ray Turner and Amanda Dean showed that age won't weary him with his 4th win of the season. At Newcastle on Saturday night, brothers Ian and Kevin Warby were winners. Ian won with Rosataro Rock, whilst Kevin won with Paradigm Shift. Really good for Kevin was that Paradigm Shift backed up on Monday to win again. On Saturday night at Tabcorp Park Menangle, Justin Reynolds from Oberon landed his first Metropolitan winner with Canina Problema for trainer Ben Setri. The gelding is raced by Dr. Fran Horsfield, who over the extremely long time in the industry, she's been at the top of the game. She's had countless winners at all levels, and it was good to see Dr. Fran win one at Menangle Park. Penrith last night doubles to Kerry McDowell and Leighton Green. Kerry won with All-Star Magician with Josh Gallagher driving and Chesmack with Leighton driving, whilst Leighton teamed up with his brother Hayden Green to land Ms Adele a winner. And recognition goes to Amanda Turnbull, who recorded her Win 2000 earlier this week. In the United States at the Meadowlands last weekend, Peter Ward and Chris Frisbee's former mayor, Major Occasion, won the $175,000 US Dorothy Horton Memorial from two other Australian race mares, Sha Tin and Soho Burning Love. With the breeding season almost upon us, activity is out there with many new stallions coming to New South Wales. They're both established stallions and, as I said, brand new stallions. So keep an eye out for these. Harness Racing New South Wales, in collaboration with many of the studs, will be putting you in the picture on some of these fine siring prospects. To name a few, McWicket will join Bling It On and For a Reason at Cobbitty Equine. Tiger Tara is now at Medowie Lodge for Darren Ray, whilst Modern Art is also in the hunter at Lock End Stud for Paul Carmody. He's Watching is a new sire standing for Luke Primer at Young, whilst Yiribee Stud has a host of stallions to choose from, headed up by Lazarus, Lenny the Shark, Fear the Dragon, Warrawee Needy, Renaissance Man and more. So call Rod or Di or Roger and they will certainly find a stallion for your mare. Another interesting addition is Highview Tommy for Laura Divert at Yanko Stud. Now, I probably missed some very worthy stallions there, and that's my apologies to you. However, please make contact with Alana Tourman. Her email address is there on the screen for you to reach out and keep us fully informed of what you're doing with your stallion and how we may direct some breeders towards you. Some participants may be aware that Michael Muscat had rather horrific training accident last week at Hawkesbury when he was educating a young horse. Mickey suffered a badly fractured leg. He has been through a couple of operations already in Westmead Hospital, and it's a very bad year, as it turns out, for Mick. As we recall, he was tipped out at Bathurst earlier in the year, suffered concussion and was on the sidelines for a little while. So Mick, we're thinking about you, and if anybody wants to contact Mick, do it through Troy Williams perhaps, or here through Morris Logue. Troy, I must commend, he was straight on to Grant Adams, Chief Steward. He was straight on to me. We're in contact and we were aware of this very unfortunate incident with Mickey Muscat. All of us best, Mickey, and looking forward to see you back in the industry as soon as possible. And on a sad note, I acknowledge the passing of Rob Gaylard. For those who knew Rob, he was a wonderful fellow. He followed harness racing all the way through. He officiated many ceremonies and presentations, and that silky voice of his certainly engaged with the crowd and made the occasion even greater. Our condolences to his friends, his family, and to everybody that knew Rob, because he was just a wonderful person. Anyway, that's the blog for this week. There'll be more. Next Friday, we will reissue following the board meeting, when we will have some announcements that are important to the well-being, the welfare and the future growth of the harness racing industry here in New South Wales. Have a good week. Hope you have plenty of winners, and if not that, at least have fun.